Welcome back in here to Battleground High School, one of the interstate matchups tonight. We had a fun one here with Tualatin and Battleground, but now it is time in the Les Schwab postgame scoreboard show to meet up with Dirk Knudsen, our man on the recruiting trail at NorthwestPrepReport.com. Welcome in, Dirk. And after week one, last week we kind of talked about the names most people were familiar with, but some interesting results in week one, some upsets, some teams that were thought to be going to be at the battling for a state title, kind of had some clunkers. I'm curious on the recruiting trail, just how much the season opener affects things getting the recruiting season going.
Well, exactly, Swag. So we hear this a lot. Coaches are so close on a lot of these guys. So you take a Pac-12 school that likes somebody, and I could name somebody out of the blue, like Luka Nixon, Sherwood. Everyone loves him. He's a UC Davis solid commit, but he's got a bunch of schools saying to that big 6'6" body, show us something early, we're close. And so while Luca's recruitment's still moving up, there's a number of other guys right there with him. We had a surprise last week, I think, to Oregon football insiders in that Westview showed up at Sherwood, beat him in overtime, and they did it with not only the posse of guys they have, but they did it behind a couple of transfers. Number one being 6'4", 310-pound Brandon Peely from Anchorage, Alaska. He moved down from a pretty well-known program up there, ended up in the Wildcats program in the offseason, had 13 tackles last week, and I heard had swallowed up David Morris, which is a very hard thing to do. There were coaches in the house from Oregon State and Oregon, I had heard, and Peely announced 2 days after that showing that he had an offer from Oregon State. Now, over at Westview, we have Coach Ryan Atkinson, former defensive lineman at Oregon State, and we have Alex Lindencole, former All Pac-12 offensive lineman, also coaching there. So there is definitely a connection with Oregon State, but it sounds like this new kid, Peely, has also the Ducks now on him. So this brought up the issue of partly transfers helping teams, and then secondly, a little bit on the whole talent thing, like how much can you really hype a kid? Can you hire somebody to make you look better than you are, or can you just show up to the party like this kid did, just absolutely dominate and walk out of there with an offer, week one offer from Pac-12 Swag? And the thing with him is his first step off the ball is so quick. People are already talking about this guy could be like a Sioux-type character. So that was quite a breakout, and they also had great help from Scappoose High School transfer Zarek Boogie Davis, who's a 6'4", 235-pound defensive end, and Zarek is just an outstanding player transferred into the district in the offseason. He's committed to Portland State, but he's another guy that people are saying, let us see that early season film. So for a lot of these guys, first 3 games, they got to get that huddle footage done, make it short, make it to the point, and get it out there because there's a lot of Pac-12 and Mountain West schools poised on some of our best athletes right now.
Dirk Knudsen, NorthwestPrepReport.com, joining us here on the recruiting trail in the Les Schwab Tires postgame scoreboard show. So along those lines, obviously, it's hard for somebody to come completely out of nowhere.
Right.
But, some of these guys that pop early, they're on the radar. Who are maybe some of the names that if they get off to a hot start or have a big game against a big-time opponent, we could see the Oregon States or Oregon's, Washington State start to get interested?
Yep. So looking at a couple of our seniors, rising senior Anthony Adams out at Newburgh. Darnell Adams, a couple years ago, you might remember, out of Newburgh, is now at Portland State, just absolutely having a great college career. So Anthony has an offer from Hawaii. He's a corner, kind of a pure athlete. He does a lot of things great, and he really showed in the offseason, both this year and last year, that he's in that discussion. I think he's going to do himself proud this year. He's at Newburgh, where the talent pool isn't as deep, and they're going to battle, and he'll get a lot of reps. I think he's going to have a shot to move up. Austin Kramer, a 6'2" wide receiver out of Crater at 180 pounds, has some small school offers. I think he's going to be able to move up. And then a couple of seniors, two seniors at Beaverton, Carson Crawford. So I heard from the Battleground coaches last weekend that they had not played against a quarterback or any athlete as explosive as Crawford. This is Chris Crawford's son, a former Portland State standout quarterback, Metro League player himself. And Carson, not the biggest guy, but boy, is he impressing people every night, and did it last year. This year, I think he's going to get his shot. Now, whether he's sort of a Stevie Corey type of a guy who goes to Oregon State and gets a shot and then maybe floats back down if it doesn't work out, I don't know, but I know he's a heck of a football player. He's just a couple of guys. And then really looking at the 2018 class, we already have Elijah Winston at 6'3", 230 pounds, Lamar's younger brother. He's just absolutely blowing up at Central Catholic with multiple offers. Braden Lindsay, we all know about from Tigard, leading that class right now in offers for the 2018 group. And then a couple of guys that I just really, really like in Cole Turner, 6'6" wide receiver out of Clackamas in 2018. He is going to be a guy that early film this year is going to help him move up. And probably the other guy I'm watching is Draco Bynum from Wilsonville, 6'4", about 255. He plays tight end, both sides of the line. He needs to have an outstanding early junior year to move into that elite group as far as recruiting for 2018 goes, Swag.
Dirk Knudsen, NorthwestPrepReport.com here on the recruiting trail as we continue on in the Les Schwab Tires post-game scoreboard show. Of course, we're up here in Battleground tonight. Got to look firsthand at quarterback Gunnar Talkington. He is the talk of the Vancouver area, but I'm curious if there's any of those other players. We've seen the Washington schools, the Vancouver area schools playing a lot more Portland schools and Oregon schools, having a lot of success early on in the season. I'm curious how much that helps because it's such a trek for them to try and get up and play Seattle area schools or Spokane area schools. Is that going to benefit who maybe a couple of guys that might benefit from playing some of these Oregon schools early?
Well, I think Leon Ciafele is a running back at Union who everyone that knows him is a young guy coming up. I think the exposure, if they should happen to, it doesn't matter who they play, either side of the river, he's gonna do well. Certainly the Battleground program has had a great couple of years now, and I think these type of games like the one you saw tonight and the game that we saw last weekend with Camas sort of taking it to Central Catholic, it levels the playing field. Okay, we know the quality of the JSHL. Those of us that really watch football, we know that's a good league, as good as any league we have. And so maybe not as deep, but I don't think even a West Lynn is going to want to have Camas just drop in on them anytime and not feel like they could leave that game a loser because they can play over there. So in your game tonight, you had Brady Brick in that game. He is a big-time lineman out of Battleground. He's committed to Portland State. I really think the group of coaches at Battleground right now, particularly Coach Mike Peck, who came out of that program, he's a football insider. He does the I-5 camp circuit. He knows about this. He's done a great job of putting those players at Battleground in a position to be seen with these other top athletes that tend to run around in the off season. So that's part of it. I think anybody with a talented athlete can plug into the off season stuff now and sort of get into that flow. And they can get a hold of guys like me. They can be on Twitter. There's a lot they can do. But back to our very first point of tonight, you can do all of that. But if you're not talented like Talkington is or like Brady Brick out there is, you're not gonna move up to the highest level. You really have to be a great high school athlete to even play at the very lowest level. It's just very hard for people to put their hands around that sometimes.
No question. You can follow along all season long, NorthwestPrepReport.com, Dirk Knudsen, and check out his work both for Oregon and Washington. Dirk, as always, we appreciate you joining us here late on a Friday night. Looking forward to a great weekend of football. We'll talk to you next Friday.
All right, Swag. Sounds great. Thank you.